rain today. I'd check the weather if I had my phone, but I don't. What is your problem, George? Ooh. Ooh. That's better. That's better. Ooh. This is what I subscribed for. Want me to get up and leave again? Let you guys talk to the chair for a while? Yeah, I've seen Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal. That's a good movie. Love that ending. Good morning. I slept, must have been like 10 hours or 11 hours last night. Like my whole shit went to sleep. And now I just feel like bing. Birdies. Little sparrows are out pecking now. Thought there'd be a special guest dog coming in. Maybe, yeah. He might come out here in a minute. He's being a lazy bones today. And he got his hair cut, so he's being a chilly willy. Do you feel well? Nah. I feel okay. Speak of the devil and 8 bears. Speak of the devil and 8 bears. Why don't you come over here, Dee?
Oh, sure did.
Can you jump it? Oh, good jump. Say hello to everybody.
Look over here.
Dan's
Look
got
over
it.
here.
Has got him on the spot. He's camera dodging, but not for. He can't do it for long. He's camera dodging, but he can't do it for long. He can't always dodge. Whee! Give you hugs. Give you a smooch. Give a smooch to the pooch. He looks so different with short hair, I know. But I started cutting him like this, like when we first got Dynor, we kind of kept him with like the fuzzy head and the fuzzy tail and stuff. But as he got older and after he got his first shave down like this, I noticed how like it helped keep him from getting all like little funky dreadlocks in his beard and stains and stuff like that. It's good to refresh every once in a while, huh, D?
Yeah. Start from scratch.
Yeah. Refresh the whole thing. Start the whole thing from the top. And plus, I hate taking him. I hate taking him to go get his haircut because I just don't trust people with him. And so I figure, like, if you're gonna take him in, get a haircut that'll last, you know. So he gets the shortcut now.
Now you don't have to worry about any brush for like a month.
At least. Ain't gonna be no brushes for at least a month. Just cover him in nair. I want him completely naked. Just nice short hair.
Yeah, I know definitely some people with Shih Tzus, they only just clean them up. They don't.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's basically like when we got him groomed when he was little. We would have him give, you know, like a little once over cut, but leave most of it pretty long. And when he turned into an older man, he started to get crusties in his beard and stains in his beard. So we cleaned it all up.
That's how my mom cut her dog, Maisie.
Yeah, I remember cutting poop from his fur when he was a puppy. It was that day I knew he needed grooming. Yeah. Yeah, he'll still get that. Like a couple of days, I think, before we took him in, I gave him a sanitary clip, like, just like held his tail up. I'm trimming this butthole, dude. Trimming all the way around it. He just needs it. He's not one of those dogs that can just, like my mom's little dog, Marley. She's a wire-haired terrier Chihuahua mix, and she's never had a haircut. Maybe, okay, she has, but like just little trims and stuff. She never needs it. He's not one of those dogs. His hair just keeps growing. If we let him just keep growing, he'd just be a giant fluff. Wouldn't be able to see your head after a while. I always feel bad for him too when he's all fluffy because like it is impossible to keep his bangs out of his eyes. Like I trim him back and then like a day later the shit from the top of his head is in his eyes. Now he doesn't got nothing in his eyes.
I feel a little shiver. You want to go in?
It's too cold. I don't have fur anymore. It's not even cold. It's not so hard. I watch Chels do it a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just afraid I'm going to cut him or something. With the clippers or pull his hair or, you know. I'm just... I don't really have the skills to do a haircut. But we considered it. Like, we considered just getting a, you know, like a good dog trimmer or whatever and trying to do it ourselves. But he would look like he had mange or something if we tried to do that ourselves. It probably wouldn't help him all that much. So we found a good place. The place that we took him to seemed really nice, had good reviews, and the lady seemed nice, so that's good.
Just one itsy-bitsy nick, but that happens when you're doing a short haircut on a wiggle worm like he is.
Yep. Worst part would be clipping the skin where it's loose, which on him is like everything underneath him.
Mm-hmm. Like they got
around
him
his
like
crotch.
Right,
Yeah.
like where his leg is all wibbly wobbly.
Yeah, we found a good place. I held it off for as long as I could, man. He hadn't had a haircut since Chelsea cut him last July until recently. So we really I was brushing him pretty much every day to keep him from getting mats and stuff. And even then, he was getting mats, and so I'd trim those off, and
they'd just be one after another.
Yep, it was a constant battle to keep him up, and summer's coming. It's gonna be hot, so didn't want him to. Yeah, dude, he was full fluff, had long hair. I could put his neck in a ponytail.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. His hair's never been that long. I wanted to see how he did with it, and the answer was only just scraped by, and only because I brushed him every day. So we'll take him in there when he needs a haircut. That'll be that.
I'll probably need one more before the summer's over.
Probably, maybe. I don't know, we'll see. Snip, snap, patty whack. Woke up this morning pretty early because I went to bed early last night. Slept pretty hard. Woke up at 6 a.m. Came out here. Decided to do my bi-weekly check of the subreddit. I was like, oh, let's see what's going on over there. And there's this thread called Paul is wrong about the Ukraine or whatever. So I'm like, okay, let's see. Let me hit that. And it's basically a screed for how stupid I am. But there's a bullet pointed list, and number 2 is basically he's given a bullet pointed list of why I'm wrong. And number 2 on his list is Ukrainians are freedom-loving, democracy-loving people, not like those thugs in Afghanistan and Iraq, Al-Qaeda members, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just dude, this thing has growing number of upvotes over there. And I'm just how does a group of ultra-left, anti-racist, anti-homophobic people draw a fucking gaggle of just fucking moose-lipped hillbillies, dude? Where do they come from? What about my personality gathers that? Because I want to change it. Where do these people come from? They read that shit and they upvote it. Just blatant ass racism. And then I find myself in opposition to that, and it just makes me feel better. That's what's coming out of the pro fucking intervention people? Unfavorable comparisons between white European populations and brown Middle Eastern populations?
That dude probably doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about either. Initially he was thinking oh, Iraq is in Operation Iraqi Freedom, not all the other Iraq things that he got involved in.
Not Desert Storm. Yeah, I just don't get it, dude. I really don't understand it. Where right-wing people are coming from. I honestly don't. we've got to be like one of the leftiest groups of people doing a podcast right now. I'm a literal, fucking pseudo anarcho primitivist and shit. Where are they coming from? And what do I have to do to get rid of them?
You cleansed a little bit with those episodes featuring black people.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This is another fucking example of like, where did these people come from? I did
Jean-Michel Basquiat.
An episode on Jean-Michel Basquiat, a black fine artist. I did episodes on Asian Americans, amazing Asian Americans, women in the labor movement, and those episodes covered almost exclusively people of color. And the comment section on those videos are literally, I wouldn't say brimming with racism, but there's so much of it. There's so many people that watch me that hold that kind of shit in their hearts, and I don't want them around me. I don't want them near me. I don't like them commenting on my shit. I don't like them watching my shit. I give every last one of them up. Money be damned. And people like that, they can't be told to leave. I've said stuff like this before. You guys say naughty words and TJ isn't afraid to use slurs. That's probably attracts them. I don't know. Whatever it is, like I don't necessarily agree with that, because I think that despite the fact that TJ will drop a slur here and there, like the shit that comes out of his mouth is clearly far left shit. So I don't really think that accounts for it. But if it does, TJ's got to. I'm gonna ask him to stop. I don't even want to deal with these people, man. I don't want them near me. I don't want them on my shit. And the fact that, like, they're in my community in sufficient numbers to push a piece of racist fucking propaganda to the top of my subreddit, I don't like that shit. I don't want those motherfuckers anywhere near me. I have no time for a racist. No time for a bigot. Is there no way to ban keywords from the whole subreddit? That wouldn't have helped in this instance. It's not like people are just like spamming the N-word or some shit. It's just like out racist sentiment, like, oh, this war effort is different because these people are white, democracy-loving European people, not like a bunch of fucking Al-Qaeda thugs. Like, just out, like, what? He accuses me in that text of comparing all Ukrainians to Nazis, and then as a counterpoint compares all fucking Muslim people to Al-Qaeda. I just don't even fucking get it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sentiment unfortunately got really popular in the skeptic community for a while.
What?
The all Muslims are terrorists.
Well, yeah, because there were a lot of people in the skeptic community tearing down the Muslim religion. Mm-hmm. And then there were a lot of people that glommed onto that, tearing down the people that practice it.
Yeah, it's like, you go after the worst examples of it, and then a bunch of people started grouping everyone together.
It's just like, and I'm so sick of hearing it too. It would be one thing if this was some kind of new phenomenon, but I'm telling you, dude, American war efforts and America involving itself in overseas business, militarily speaking, it brings the racists right out of the woodwork, man. People start speaking their mind. Last time I checked that post over there, it had like over 41 upvotes and counting. People just driving by like, oh yeah. It's like, what? Where do you people come from? How do I gather you people to me, and how do I make sure that I never do it again? And this is one of the reasons, to be quite honest with you, it's a teaching moment, because it's one of the reasons why I oppose war, period. All war. Because this comes out of people. This misinformation, this narrative buying shit, this racism, it just comes pouring out of people. Bring a mirror up to it, people can't see the forest for the trees right now. There are people who genuinely believe that there is one right in the world and one wrong in the world, and the only way to be right is to support American intervention in another fucking war. And you're not going to convince them otherwise. Their heads are filled with jingoistic, propagandized nonsense. And they're just going to march forward and be stupid about it. And I've seen this before. This is not the first time in my life that this has happened. I've seen people react this way. I've seen how foreign military intervention creates this us versus them mentality in a huge swath of the population, and everybody's just nasty kind of pseudo hidden bigotry just comes bubbling out of their mouths.
Yeah, and then like Russian people in America, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
It's like there's already been all this anti-Russia sentiment, like all their meddling and everything.
There'll be stories about it.
Yeah.
There'll be stories about Russian businesses getting fucking firebombed and vandalized, Russian people being harassed on the subway. It's gonna happen. Because this is the way. This is what war stirs up in people. It's that us versus them, while the oligarchs reap all the benefit. Sorry, dude. You're never gonna get me on board for that. Never. Seen too much of it. And yes, shamefully, in my younger years, participated in too much of it. Been down the road. Not going again. And I wish there was a way for me to directly broadcast to every person watching me with hate in their heart to just leave. To please go find somebody else to suckle off of. Because I don't want you. I don't want your fucking shitty opinions. I don't want your shitty presence. I don't want your shitty comments. I don't want your shitty interactions. I don't want to hear your shitty fucking mouth. Go conglomerate over on a Tim Pool video or some shit. Okay? I don't want you. I don't want your money. I don't want your engagement. I don't need it. I've already seen a bunch of people on Twitter claiming all Russians voted for Putin, so they all support him. Like, isn't it common knowledge those elections are rigged? Yes, it is until there's a war. They will keep doing it just to spite me. I know. Imagine that, though. Imagine being part of a community of people, and the only reason that you exist there is so you and your little cadre of backwards hillbilly people can make that other group of people mad. Like, just go create your own thing. Get off my shit. I've never agreed with you. I'll never agree with you. You're not gonna browbeat me into supporting your little fucking oligarch crusade over in Ukraine. You're not gonna do it. You're not going to do it. You're not going to get me to set on the shelf the things that I know and just go with the war drum so you can feel like you've got somebody on your side with it. That's not my position. You're never going to get it from me. There's no amount of browbeating, no amount of whine posting, no amount of fucking overt racism that you can throw up on my social media that's going to change my mind. You're beating your face against a fucking wall. So leave. I just hate that, man. That's the worst part about this shit. Straight up. The worst part about my job is that fucking idiots find what I'm doing and attach their shitty opinions to my name. That's the worst. You're wrong on this, Paul. Shut the fuck up.
Constant straw manning of what you're saying.
Yep. Constant, just like complete redefinition and re-quoting of me. Constant. Claiming that I'm like supportive of Putin or Russian fucking interest in general, when I've never ever said anything that would lead anybody to believe that. Because that must be it, right? Why isn't Paul drooling all over the fucking war knob like the rest of us? Yeah, that's why. You got me.
Everyone just wants things to be black and white.
Well, that's one of the most dangerous things about war and the accompanying media propaganda and government propaganda that comes from all sides of it, is that the first casualty of war is truth. That's it. Piss off, Slackjaw. Take a hint. It's almost like it's perfectly timed for the next generation of youngsters to get tricked into it. There's definitely a cycle to it, because the cycle includes people becoming anti-war at the end of it, when they find out that they were lied to, when they find out that American involvement is much deeper than they thought it was going to be, when the war escalates, when the war drags on and on and on for years and years and years. Then people all of a sudden, they start recontextualizing their position and they end in an anti-war position. And then you got to let some time go by. You got to provide some other distractions for people before you beat the drum again. Something tells me part of it is contrarianism. Paul believes this, so I must believe the opposite. Well, I'm fine with contrarianism as a philosophical exercise, but when contrarianism has you parroting fucking hillbilly memes and shit, like literal, just deep South racist fucking positions, maybe it's time to check that a little bit. Who that supports Ukrainian sovereignty is not anti-war. Anybody that's advocating for the escalation of that conflict rather than an immediate détente involving everybody, not just a Ukrainian ambassador and a Russian. We need to get Zelensky, Putin, and Biden in the same room together and have a détente. Anybody that argues for anything other than that is a warmonger. And it's not even hard to find examples of this shit. There are people that are just cheering these huge crates of machine guns that are being unloaded in Kiev and just handed out to anybody sight unseen. You don't think those guns are going to play a role in that country's history for the next fucking 3-4 decades? You don't think that you think those guns are just going to disappear once Russia backs off? If they do? You want to take a look at what happens when you dump billions of dollars of munitions on the populace of a country unsanctioned? Take a look at Afghanistan. We didn't learn arming Afghanistan against the Russians. Look what happened to that country as a result of all the fucking shit.
And it wasn't because they were Muslim. It was because when you have a war-torn country and it's not rebuilt, extremism builds just out of desperation.
When you dump a bunch of military hardware on an angsty populace, tends to turn that country to shit.
Look at Libya.
And what is your solution? Sit back and let the Russians take Ukraine without a fight? Why do I, as an American citizen, have to have a solution for a European problem? What's your solution for poverty here? What's your solution for homelessness here? What's your solution for continued exploitation of the third world by corporations here? What's your solution for deadlock in Congress here? What's your solution for the fact that we just can't get a non-fascist in high office here? What's your solution? I throw that back in your face. Why do I gotta have a solution for every military conflict in the world? Why is it America's job to be whoop whoop? What's your solution? What's your solution for the myriad problems that affect this country right now? What's your solution? You better have an answer for me, Z. The next thing that you type better be an answer to that question or you're banned. I'm not playing footsie with you bitches anymore. What's your solution? Last I checked, it's more than America that's aiding Ukraine. Wrong answer. See ya. Wrong answer. Didn't listen. Anybody else?
How many billions have we sent over there while people literally don't have roofs over their heads here?
Child tax credit just expired. Putting like millions of children back below the poverty line. What's your solution to that? Fuckers. These motherfuckers, these people hadn't ever even thought or made one take about Ukraine until last month. And they want to come in here and fucking make statements like that. Get out.
Like, do you not know that they've been at war since 2014?
No, they don't know. They don't know because people are so adverse to picking up a book and learning some recent history. They just want to run with their take.
You don't even need books anymore. You hop on Wikipedia for 5 minutes. You know 10 times more.
Even Vosh didn't know. Vosh came with the hot take immediately. Doesn't even know what a fucking proxy war is. I still think that dude doesn't know what a proxy war is. He straight out said that Ukraine is not a proxy war between the United States and Russia. It's the definition of it.
Yeah. CIA has demonstrably been in there since 2014.
Yep. I'm done dealing with these dum-dums, and I'm going to tell you guys right now. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't want to hear your mind change either. Maybe other people are going to pat you on the back for eventually being right. I'm not going to be one of them. I'm going to be reminding you of what a slavering war dog you were. I'm going to be reminding you of how you decided to ignore historical context in the face of a media push for escalation of a war. Because I want you to remember that the next time it comes around. So don't come here for a pat on the back when you go, oh, you know what, Paul? I realized that you were right. I don't even want to hear it. Shut your hole unless you want to just be excoriated again. That's all you get from me. I'm going to hold it in your face for the rest of your life. You better disappear and create a new account. You better pretend like you were on my side all along, like a good little coward. Because if you come here with your little redemption story, I'm going to hand it back to you. I don't want to hear it. You're on notice. Get right now. You want to impress me? Get right now. Be on the right side of this from jump. Think about it now. Stop ignoring context now. Stop letting fucking media moguls recontextualize the truth now. You want to impress me. Don't come to me 8 months from now with your little redemption story. I don't want to hear it. Keep it. Keep it in your back pocket. Go sell that to somebody else.
You're right. You mentioned the other time, like they're not asking for our permission to keep escalating the war, but they're looking for consent. Right now, they're seeing consent.
Yep. Do you think education and tech on a local level would be better than cat videos from someone making money from afar? Huh? I don't understand the question. Paul, you're not going to be reminding them because we're going to die in a nuclear holocaust if this escalates. See, I don't know that we're gonna, but the fact that people are glibly engaging in beating the war drums when they know, I know these people know that that is the worst case scenario that happens here. We got two nuclear armed nations facing off against one another, bro. The fact that people know that that's what we're risking and are still fucking playing the jingoism game. These motherfuckers got blood. They'll have the blood of the planet on their hands. Talk about being wrong about a war. Wait till World War III breaks out.
Where did all the harm reduction people go?
Yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's just it's a joke. People are so easily propagandized in this country. So stupid, so mush-mouthed, so empty-headed, and so willing to just suckle at the teat of the media.
It's like if Biden is harm reduction, us keeping our dick out of Ukraine is harm reduction.
Seems fucking logically sound to me. So easily propagandized. Even the people that are supposedly alternative media, parroting like obvious war propaganda. The ghost of Kiev, the Snake Island heroes. Useful idiots. That's what you're called. Literally, that's the term. For people like you, during the onset of a war, you're a useful idiot. You're willing to parrot whatever is told to you by the media. Like most people even knowing that the media outright lies and obfuscates the truth constantly. But for some reason, when war is involved, man, there's a line in the sand drawn. And if you're not standing on the war side, do you know how many different things I've been called for my anti-war position? I've been called pro-Osama, an Osama lover, an Al-Qaeda lover. I've been called a Taliban lover. I've been called a Saddam Hussein lover. And now, I've been called a Putin lover. Are you guys seeing a pattern in response? Nah. But that's me, though. What is my ideology today? Because back then I was an Al-Qaeda sympathizer. But the Ukrainians and Russians kill Al-Qaeda. So now I've changed from being an Al-Qaeda sympathizer to being a Russian sympathizer. See how easy it is? I'm an Osama bin Laden apologist. I'm a fucking Taliban apologist. I'm a terrorist apologist. I'm pro-terrorist. I've been called all these things. Pro-Saddam Hussein. Pro-genocide that Saddam Hussein committed on the fucking Kurds. And now that the focus has turned away from the Middle East to Eastern Europe, I'm pro-Putin. Give me a break. Motherfuckers don't even see the pattern. That's why I don't want to hear you come back. That's why I don't want to hear your little redemption story. I'm not playing into your little psychological need to be right down the road. Calling me a Putin lover? Calling me a supporter of a demagogue? You call like when I'm just speaking out against war in all its forms and screaming for a détente? You go fuck yourself. I don't want your redemption arc.
Or this term whataboutism, like history is all whataboutism.
Yeah. You try and bring up any kind of historical contest. Whataboutism? Eat a big fat dick. Who called you that? Go look. Go look at the subreddit right now and you'll find me being called a Putin lover, a Putin supporter. Unfortunately, Operation Desert Storm didn't happen during the internet age. Otherwise, I'd find you a bunch of that too. I don't got time for you Johnny-come-latelys. I don't. Get on the right side of this or just get out of my face. I don't want to hear your sheepish little mea culpa 8 months from now. I don't care to hear it, bro. Now's when your opinion matters most. And where are you standing? On the side of escalation and war. So you deal with it. You deal with it however you want, but I ain't putting up with it here no more. I don't want to even hear it anymore, dude. And the subreddit better get ready too. Because I think that little thread, that was the last straw for me. Next time one of those little threads happens, not only is the author of that thread getting banned, but I'm going to first go through the comments, and anybody that agrees with it is getting banned too. And we're going to do that about 5 or 6 times, see if we can thin this out a little bit. Because I'm done. You're not going to put you're not going to fly your racist flag on something that's got my name on it. So go ahead and clip this and put it up on the subreddit. That's your last one. Next time I even get a sniff of racism out of anybody on that, everybody that fucking commented positively underneath it, ripped. And we'll do that, like I said, as many times as we have to until people get bored with it. I'm not going to read that shit anymore. Not on shit that's got my name at the top. Nope. So you're on notice. You're on notice here. You're on notice on my podcast that I do with TJ and Scotty. I watch the chat and the comments on that, and you're on notice on the subreddit and any other kind of social media that's attached to my shit. I hear a murmur of it, you're gone. Got it? No more joking, no more memes, no more fun. You're done. Sick of hearing it. Sick of dealing with it, sick of reading it, especially sick of seeing it underneath my name and underneath what I do. I stand as a, you know, at least I attempt to be a repudiation of all those things. I've done my level-headed best for years as a content creator to be a repudiator of racism, imperialism, oligarchy. I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to have apologia for that shit stacked underneath my subreddit. Nope. Not going to happen. So figure out how to call me wrong without being a racist. Is it really just a flexing match over America and Russia over pipelines? It's even worse than that. It's geopolitical positioning against China. America understands that there is a likely future alliance between Russia and China, and so anything that they can do to oppose Russian influence in the world, we're going to do it. Because we're weakening our future enemy. This is a Cold War. Do you understand what that means? There's already an alliance between China and Russia. I know. That's the point. You just figured it out, buddy. Congratulations, you just leveled up. You gained 1 IQ point. Now think about that. What are the implications? America is aligned geopolitically against China, and China is our #1 competitor on the geopolitical stage. China is allied with Russia. Therefore, anything that we can do to prevent Russia from solidifying its position by necessity hurts China. I wonder if that has anything to do with this new American focus on Russia and Eastern Europe. I wonder. Monkey have idea. Sick of trying to explain it to you people. This aggression against Ukraine has nothing to do with China. You're just an empty-brained moron if you think that. If you think that Russia's geopolitical positioning as a major ally of China has nothing to do with China, I don't know what to tell you, dude. I don't know how to slap you in the face with the big wet dick of truth any harder than that. Did you get it that time? How about that time? No, didn't get it that time. Nope, still don't get it. You're hopeless. You're beyond help. You're beyond what I can do. I don't have the skill. Still don't get it. So I'm not going to bother anymore. Chumps. Ooh, You slap my face, I slap yours. Christ said, turn the other cheek for a reason. I'm pretty sure it wasn't slap boxing that Christ was getting at there. He wasn't saying, you slap me, I slap you. He's saying if somebody slaps you in the face, instead of reprisal, you present your other cheek and let them do it to you again, rather than engaging in the heart-hardening enterprise of revenge. That was what Jesus meant. China owes us too much debt. Dude, you're too stupid. If you think we're like China is in debt to us, you got another thing coming, homie. Too stupid. Done responding to you. See ya. I probably should have read your fucking name too. Ku Klux Kachu or whatever the fuck. Get the fuck out of here, bro. That's your boy? Pro-war people, that's your guy? See you next all, buddy. No, I think the U.S. could pay the bill easily. Do you understand what debt is? Do you understand how much debt the United States currently holds? Somebody want to go look up the United States national deficit right now? Something like 2 trillion? Something in the multiple trillions? Oh boy, who are these? Seagulls? Who are these? They're pretty and they're big. Wow, don't poop on me, birds. Don't poop on me, birdies. Whoa, there's a whole ass flock going over, man. That's crazy. I think they're seagulls. They look like gulls. They're pretty far inland for seagulls. That's not super far inland. That's crazy. Yeah, it's a seagull. It's a flock of seagulls. I walk across the avenue. I never thought I'd see a girl like you. See a girl like you. And I ran so far away. Gotta get away. With tawny hair and golden eyes. The kind of eyes that hypnotize me through. Hypnotize me through. And I ran so far away. I just ran. I ran all night and day. Gotta get away. Paul, do you think there might be a miscommunication when some people ask you what you think should be done concerning Ukraine after you give a no war period take? It seems to me that you're... It seems to me that I'm what? listen to some 80s. I'm gonna rock out to some 80s today. Those aren't real birds. Oh no, surveillance birds. I'm gonna listen to some 80s. I'm feeling in an 80s mood today. I want some of that slick synth pop. Let's see, what songs do I want to listen to? I want to listen to I Ran by Flock of Seagulls, obviously, because that started this. I want to listen to Take These Broken Wings by Mr. Mister, because I want to learn to fly again and learn to live so free. I want to listen to Sister Christian. Who sang that song? Was it Toto? No, it wasn't Toto. Who sang that song, Sister Christian? Shout. Yeah. The safety dance. Yes. It's all going in the playlist. Night Ranger. Yeah. Motoring. What's your price tonight? Finding Mr. Right. You'll be alright tonight. Doom. Dude, one of the greatest scenes ever filmed in film history, in my opinion. The robbery scene in Boogie Nights. Bro, can I get some emojis or some shit in the chat for the robbery scene in Boogie Nights, where the coke dealer puts on his like mixtape and that song plays? He's got the little Asian twink running around lighting off firecrackers during the whole thing. That song, dude, that scene is just short of cinematic perfection. Just short. Dude, yeah. Dude, if you want to watch a scene, dude, look at the robbery scene towards the end of Boogie Nights, like in the descending action of Boogie Nights. Oh my God, bro. Cinematic brilliance from start to finish. I got a feeling that someone's watching me. What? Who sang that? Yeah, the guy had a big Jerry curl. That's all I remember. I got a feeling that someone's watching me. You got such uncle vibes. I am an uncle. I'm an uncle. Like, let me count how many nieces and nephews I have, dude. I got a lot. As of today, actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, my sister is having labor induced today, so I will have another little niece today. So I've got, okay, hold on. Fuck. I gotta count them all, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Am I missing any? I have 10. I'm missing some. I have 11, 12. And these are technical ones. These are like nieces and nephews that I have very little to do with because they're on my dad's side of the family, my stepsisters. But technically, I have 13 nieces and nephews. 13 among all my sisters, right? That's not just one sister, but most of it is just one sister. Are you a good uncle? I'm not. This is kind of a sore spot for me, to be honest with you. I'm willing to talk about it, but I'm just letting you know it's a sore spot for me. I feel like I'm not allowed to be a good uncle. And maybe that will change as my nieces and nephews age up, because they'll be less dependent on seeing me only when the family gets together, and only at, you know, blah 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 blah, and only in very like church circumstances and stuff. Because like right now, like most of my nieces and nephews, not all of them, but most of my nieces and nephews, you know, are part of a family that is really super heavily evangelical Christian and stuff. And that puts my lifestyle and everything about me at odds with their parents. Now, I see them and the kids love me. They always, you know, want to come talk to me and yada, yada, yada. And so I know that the kids love me, and I'm glad that I get the opportunity to at least visit with them and stuff. But as far as me being a cool uncle, I'm not really allowed to be, you know. So maybe when they're like I said, maybe when they kind of get into their college years or something, they'll run into some that's my fantasy. And I don't want them to have problems, but I know that everybody has problems when they're growing up and stuff. And you know, my fantasy is that one day maybe they won't feel comfortable talking to mom and dad about something, you know, something to do with drugs or sex or whatever the fuck. And you know, they'll call Uncle PJ because they know that he'll give them the straight dope, which I would, you know what I mean? But I think that's more of a fantasy to assuage my kind of feelings of alienation from that part of my family.
And you want to talk about like science and shit with them without it being like a controversy.
I'm not even a big science guy, but yeah, that's an example. I think I've told the story here, but for those of you that haven't heard it, like I got in trouble one time with my eldest niece. When she was littler, she was probably like 5 or 6, maybe 7 at the time, somewhere in that age range. And it was a 4th of July party. Like my mom used to throw this big block party every year for 4th of July. And so we were and it was all winding down, and we were sitting out in my mom's backyard by the pool, and it just ended up being me and my niece. And I don't remember even how the topic went there, but we started talking about the stars. And she started asking me questions about, because it was a really starry night, you know what I mean? We could see the stars real bright. And she started asking me about, you know, different things about the stars or whatever. And I was like, I remember I was just telling her, like, one of the coolest things that I know about the stars is that a lot of the stars that we're looking at might have burned out a long time ago. And we just don't know it yet because it takes so many millions of years for the light from some of these distant stars to reach the planet, you know what I mean? So we're actually, like, when you look up in the sky, you're looking back in time. You're looking at a sky, you know, like the position of the stars when the dinosaurs were still alive, you know, that sort of thing. And right in the middle of that talk, her dad, my brother-in-law, walked up and said, you know, hey, go. He told her, go inside, get ready, we're about to leave. And I said, all right. I gave her a hug, and she went inside. And then he sat down and had like a talk with me. He was like, hey, you know, we don't believe in millions of years. We don't teach our kids that millions of years is a thing. We believe that God created the world in 7 days, and that the earth is about, you know, 6,600 years old or whatever, and that's what we teach our children. And I really would appreciate it if you would respect that. And I was like, yeah, no problem.
But yeah, so yeah, I think probably more of a, you don't want to have to tiptoe around their sensibilities.
Well, I have to.
Yeah.
You know, that's the choice that I've had to make. I had to make the choice. Don't see any of your nieces and nephews, or most of them, or just shut up around them and don't talk about anything that's important to you, because it's probably going to march you down a road that they're not allowed to hear about. And that's that, that's where I'm at. So that's the answer to your question. I'm not really allowed to be much of a good uncle. Although I'd like to think that I would be, given the chance. But yeah. It's one of those things, man. I don't know. One of those sad truths.
Well, at least you could be a cool brother-in-law to my sisters.
That's true.
Their ages are about the same as your nieces.
That's true. I'm much more in the age range of an uncle. Yeah. My sister has kids their age, so yeah. But they'll all become atheist. I don't know if that's true.
Maybe one or two of them will.
Yeah.
Just statistically.
Maybe, yeah. The more of them that they have, the more that becomes an option, But, yeah, I don't know, man. A lot of people said those kids are going to get bullied in school. Those kids don't go to public school. They're homeschooled, every last one of them. So they're going to skip the whole bullying phase. They won't be like amongst like the general populace until they go to school, like to college, off to college. They're going to get their whole education at home. So they won't be bullied. You don't got to worry about that. How do you think they're teaching their kids that the fucking universe is 6,000 years old and not, and sending them to public school? Those two things don't. Sounds criminal. This is, it's not criminal, but it's completely and utterly legal. But it's one of the reasons why I'm in such opposition to homeschooling and private schooling.
And it's just an excuse for public schools to be shitty if all the people with money get to just do a separate thing.
If your end goal is you want your kid to go to some sort of like elite private academy, then it is in your interest to make sure with all of your power and money that the public school system sucks. So that there's an excuse for you to have a separate school system for your upper crusty kids. Homeschooling is a part of that as well. So there needs to be, in my opinion, and a lot of people would say this is draconian, but I don't really care. When it comes to kids, I'm pretty fucking draconian. And when you're talking about giving everybody an equal chance to succeed in life, you can't do that without a decent baseline education. And you can't ensure that kids are getting a decent baseline education and aren't learning fantasy shit like the world is 6,000 years old type of shit. If you have homeschooling and private academies and religious schools and shit like that. There needs to be a rule. If you want to be a United States citizen, your child attends public school. I don't care if you're a politician. I don't care if you're a movie star. I don't care if you're a dignitary. I don't care if you're a billionaire. You want to have a kid, your kid goes to public school. That's how you ensure that public schools are awesome.
You know what's fucked up too is like they'll literally like put kids in juvie for like not going to school if they don't have a homeschool or a private school to go to.
Yep. And I've heard the arguments against this, parent choice and all of that, and the rights of a parent to educate their own child. And I've heard that shit, and I don't think that they're without merit. I just think that the greater merit lies in children getting a good start in life and a good baseline education that is comparable to every other kid in this country. Every kid starts at the same rung. That's the most American thing I can think of. And that is what people want for their children. Go ask a parent. Like, if you've talked to any parents about their children, one thing that you will hear repeated over and over again is, I want things to be better for them than it was for me. How could you ensure that more than by a robustly funded, mandatory public education? There would be no reason, no impetus for billionaires to oppose educational measures anymore because their children would be in those schools. Your children would have the best of everything at the expense of the taxpayer. How could you argue against that?
Yeah, overcrowding classrooms wouldn't be a thing because those upper crusty people wouldn't accept that.
They wouldn't accept it. They wouldn't walk in and see their little billionaire spawn sitting in a fucking room with 40 other little snot-nosed kids. Mm-hmm. They would cry bloody murder and infuse a bunch of their private funds into the public education system to ensure that those schools had lower class sizes. They'd change the law. Mm-hmm. They would lobby to have the law changed to make it like maximum class size of 15 or 20, which is what it should be. When I was a kid, I was never in a class that had more than 20 kids in it. Ever. Throughout my whole education, 20 was the maximum amount of kids that I ever sat in a classroom with.
And I think the worst one I was in is I think there was like 40 people in my Latin class.
It's gotten absurd. There was a teacher in the school district that I worked in. Mm-hmm. The year that I left, mm-hmm. Everybody was talking about her. You know why? She was the first teacher in California, or in our area of California, to have a class size over 50. Yeah, she had 51 kids.
You can't do anything.
Half 100 kids. One classroom.
Like the only class that possibly works in is like PE, I guess. You can have 50 kids.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But other than PE,
51. So yeah, that shit's got to change.
That's right, birdies.
They agree.
Yeah. They're saying bullshit.
The classrooms may as well be auditoriums. Yeah, but they're not. They're little temporary buildings, little trailers that just get stacked on the land. Yeah, it's like super overcast today.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, it's forecasted to rain today.
Is it? That probably means it won't.
Maybe. I don't know, can you feel it in your bones, the rain?
No. That's why I'm saying it probably won't.
Yeah.
Where does all that funding go? If my school district is a bellwether for other school districts, which I know it is because I worked adjacent to other school districts and went to conferences and stuff from people all over my state and all over the United States, and I heard a lot of the same stories from the tech people that I talked to. A lot of that money goes into what is quite frankly useless technology. There's like a wow factor when parents walk into a classroom and they see a bunch of sleek iMacs sitting there. None of them pay attention to the fact that there's 40 kids and 6 iMacs. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't, you know. So yeah, there's this like wow factor, not only at the parental level, which drives a lot of the politicking when it comes to spending money, but at just the school level. There are people that are just kind of erroneously convinced that technology is the answer to growing class sizes and shit. And it isn't. And so a lot, like millions and millions of dollars that could go to classroom construction. When I say that, I mean tearing down some of these fucking like portable buildings and putting down an actual building for kids to learn in. That'd be a really huge step. Creating larger classrooms, creating more classrooms so that you and hiring more teachers, millions of dollars. More than enough money to accomplish that across the district, at least a little bit at a time incrementally. and it gets flushed down the toilet of technology that is usually so mismatched that it's not even funny. And that was like the tale of our school district. Everybody was also enamored with Apple, and Apple had this long-standing relationship with the district that I worked with. It was an early adopter of the old Apple IIe way back in the day when I was at that school district as a student. We had Apple IIes in the classroom before a lot of the country did. And so the school district at large has a long-standing relationship with the Apple Corporation, and spends like I bet the total is like something like $50 or $100 million over the course of like the last 40 years have gone to technology. Constantly like patchwork upgrades of the network and patchwork upgrades of old machines into new ones, and then the repurposing of old machines to poorer schools that need them, which is an ongoing fucking expense.
And then the school board credit cards, can't forget those.
Oh yeah, that's just great. Yeah. School board having like lawsuits with the school district about getting access to like a fucking credit card with no limit on it, so when they travel they can just spend whatever they want. Like that's what the school district was spending money on when I left.
Yeah, some of those were strip clubs and shit.
Who knows what they were? They just wanted to be able to live on the taxpayer dime 24/7, 365. And they already had a facility to do that, but it wasn't enough. It's not a credit card with no limit. When you have to like make an expense report and bring it back, it seems kind of incumbent on you to make it look like you tried to do your best to keep the costs down. When you got a credit card, though, you can justify anything. Mm-hmm. And that was the lawsuit that was going on when I left. By the way, where does that money go? Lawsuits. Constant lawsuits. Parents suing the school, teachers suing the school, principals suing the school, district employees suing other district employees, the school board suing the school district suing the school board. Millions and millions and millions of dollars in lawyer fees. Every dollar of that could go to building new classrooms, hiring new teachers, ensuring a baseline education across all of the schools.
They're paying it for insurance for their lawsuits.
Yep. Insurance and attorney retainer fees, and they're constantly working. Attorneys are constantly drafting legal letters and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just fucking crazy. That's where the money goes. Oh, and let's not forget this. Exorbitant, out of control, ridiculous salaries and benefits packages at the upper level of district management. Talking superintendent, school board level, his immediate delegation structure. Mm-hmm. These people make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and drive around in Beamers. They didn't buy those. Those are district purchased vehicles for the fucking superintendent to drive. Worked at a school district for a basically low end of the economic spectrum town, and everybody that worked at the upper level of district management was rich, wallowing in it. Pay them a teacher's salary, then none of them would want to do it. See, this is the thing. Here's another thing that goes on. You guys have probably heard of corporate headhunting, where a corporation will send somebody to try and poach talent from another corporation. You ever heard of this? Oh, you're getting paid, $700,000 a year plus bennies over here. We'll give you $850 plus bennies. Come work for us. Headhunting, right? That shit happens in the school district. I figured it out at one point, and I'd have to think about it again, but I'm pretty sure that in the 8 years that I worked for the school district, keep in mind, I'm just a tech guy, and I was there for 8 years, right? In the 8 years that I worked for the school district, I worked under 5, I believe, different superintendents. I want you to do the math on that. I want you to ask yourself, how can an organization ever get off the ground if it switches leaders literally once a year? The answer is it doesn't. And the reason for that turnover is because here's what'll happen. Somebody will become superintendent. Now, even though I was in a small town, the school district was huge. It covered an entire county area. It's a huge school district. I'm trying to think of how many schools were in it. It's over 30 schools. Huge school district, right? Over 30 K through 8 establishments under its umbrella. I might even be underselling that. Huge school district, a lot of clout. So they become the superintendent, and test scores that year are up 0.5 percentage point across the school district. Okay, it's decent, right? Well, then what happens is all these like upper crusty rich school districts that are looking for that kind of momentum in their own test scores come to these like guys that work in these shitty little cow towns, making fucking 6 figures, driving around in Beamers, living in a mansion, and they go like, oh man, yeah, you're doing good over here, but wow, it's so hot here in the Central Valley, isn't it? I mean, but maybe it's just me because Malibu is just, let's look, 72 degrees right now. It's going to be 50 tonight. I have to put on a sweater, you know. And they just poach these people away to these little beach towns and these little higher fucking economic status school districts. And now the little town of Madera has to find a new superintendent. And it goes on and on and on.
Part of you can't blame some parents for wanting private schools with how shitty it is. They just don't realize that they're contributing to how shitty it is by putting their kids in private school.
Right. I'm for eliminating the argument that I can send my kid to a better private school. I'm for making public school like the answer to so many of America's fundamental problems, in my opinion, is lack of education, period. Lack of adult education and lack of childhood education, lack of a baseline. If America dumped all the money it dumps into war, instead of dumping $14 billion worth of Kalashnikov fucking AK-47s and shit all over Ukraine, we dumped it into the a new American public education system, funded a new department, took a nice little chunk of the Pentagon pie, and created a new Department of Education that was responsible for superseding the state and ensuring a baseline federal education. Do you have any idea how this country would blossom? It would only take a generation. It would only take one generation of children getting at least partial access to the beginnings of that to see a cultural blossoming in the United States. A renaissance, a genuine renaissance in technology, art, thinking, politics. It would be everything that everybody, regardless of where they are on the political spectrum, wants for their children. A world where they were free to pursue their passion, to discover new things, to figure out who they are, and to go forward and be it. It's everything that every parent wants. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. It would be a cultural revolution, literally. No, education reform is not needed. Education rethinking is needed, a complete and utter teardown of the current state-based and county-based system, and its replacement by a constantly well-funded federal effort to normalize K-8 education in this country. Reform, it's maggoty. You can't, at this point, you can't cut the cancer out. You just got to kill the whole organism and rethink it from the top.
That would have been a great opportunity to do that when, like, all these kids were working from home and shit.
Yeah.
But nope.
Decades of deterioration in our education system is largely responsible for a lot of the anti-vax QAnon shit. Well, I mean, that type of shit is magnified in its importance. It's more just base ignorance and base lack of opportunity, base lack of creative engagement, and a base ignorance that shows its ugly face every time there's a fucking political discussion. That's the problem. Yeah, thanks.
But yeah, there's people with not even baseline critical thinking skills or baseline reading ability.
Yeah. We're graduating, and I'm not trying to shame these people, but this is the outcropping. We're graduating functional illiterates every day in every state. People that functionally can't read, can't write. It's not fair to the kids. It's not fair to children to not get a passable education. It's just not fair. You can't start from you can't claim to be a country where everybody is free to pursue their destiny and then start everybody behind, or start such a huge swath of children behind because they didn't even get access to the baseline education. And I don't even know what argument people could make against it. But we're not talking about that right now. That's not even a political... Education reform, I haven't heard a leftist talk about it since the last time I talked about it. It's not even an issue anymore. Nobody even cares. But we are so wringing our hands over what's going on in Ukraine as if that's what we need to worry about right now. Not the fact that we're graduating an entire second or third generation in a row of functional illiterates. Not that poverty and homelessness is spinning out of control. Not that the environment is crumbling. We should all be intensely focused on the complex, corrupt political web in Eastern Europe. That's where American fucking leftism should be focusing right now. Give me a break. It's like George Carlin talked about this. You guys remember the bit where he talked about why school sucks? School sucks because they don't want to graduate free thinkers, free thinking individuals capable of self-determination. They want obedient workers, and that's what school is about. He did that bit in the 70s or 80s or some shit. You think that's changed? You claim to give a shit about the tide of ignorance taking over this country, the tide of like science denialism and anti-intellectualism sweeping across this country, and you really genuinely think that your political willpower is best poured into a Biden campaign or the escalation of a fucking foreign war? Are you kidding me? And you want to call yourself a leftist? You're diddling yourself about fucking like Twitter drama between ContraPoints and Vosh or whatever the latest is? And you want to call yourself a leftist and look me in the face? What happened to the fire? What happened to the passion? What happened to the ability to focus on multiple things at once? What happened to the left that it was uncoupled from media influence? What happened to the rebellious left? What happened to the left that knew when it was being bullshitted? Was it ever there? I don't know, maybe it wasn't. But gee whiz, it sounds like a nice left to build, doesn't it?
Look what the right's doing. They're taking advantage of all of this frustration and shit that people are feeling, all this desperation.
Right. They're doing their own version of it on their side too, turning their own people against their own people. The whole Trumpists versus reformists thing that's starting to take shape. Pence is spending millions of dollars, so you can guarantee he's thinking about a presidential run. And he's been all oppositional on Trump and January 16th and all that shit. So there's this, little civil war happening on the right, and that's working to keep people focused on stupid political infighting and not the shit that I've been talking about for the last hour. I'm just disappointed in general in the left. And, in the online leftist space, I think to a lot of people that comes off as me having like Vosh derangement syndrome or whatever. I don't decide that Vosh should be part of the conversation. The online left, which I'm only adjacent to, in my opinion, I don't even really think I participate much in that. But what little I do, they're all talking about him. And so, what do you want me to do, man? If you don't want me to use him as a focal point for the online left and its failings, then quit pushing him to the top of it. And whoever else is there, I'll start quoting them. But like, what kind of a tragic failure are we as leftists if we look at the output of the online left? Look how powerful it could be in uniting people on the myriad issues that face us as a fucking nation and as just a people that live on this fucking planet. And look how horribly self-aggrandizing, self-backpatting, and drama-obsessed and fucking warmongering it actually is. Look at the output of this shit. Pom-pomming Joe Biden, pom-pomming the war, fighting about whether your dick is small or not. Literally. Like, how's that any different than when Trump went up on the national stage and had a literal dick measuring contest and everybody made fun of that? How's the output of the online left being a wee-wee joke for the last fucking half a week and counting? What are we doing, man? Where are the people that care about this fucking shit? And where's the pushback? Look at how much energy is funneled into these non-causes. I saw a tweet that made me laugh last night. I almost retweeted it, but I just didn't want to invite the fucking Vosh militia into my comments or whatever. But it was like ContraPoints blocking Vosh is 9/11 for kids who have never been outside. I was like, yeah, that's basically that. Yep, you got it. You got it. You hit the nail on the head. Nobody wants to rock the boat too comfortable. See, here's the thing, man. I'm not comfortable unless I'm rocking the boat. When it's steady seas and a clear horizon, I'm one of those sailors that longs for the storm to whip up, man. I'm not comfortable unless I'm doing my part to rock the boat. I really don't feel like I'm doing any kind of political advocacy at all if I'm not rocking the boat. And maybe that's what invites, so much of the harsh criticism and shit that I get. I don't know. Bosch is just doing deflections to not talk about how easily he was propagandized. I mean, I don't know if necessarily he, a lot of people took me super seriously when I said that he manufactured this whole drama to distract from it, but it definitely was useful. And let's not pretend that Bosch could have just ignored this and talked about the real issues as he sees them, which, looking at his channel from 2 weeks ago, has to be Ukraine, right? So whether or not it was manufactured, it probably wasn't, but it was definitely a useful thing to spend the last fucking week and a half bitching about. When just a week before you were fucking dangerously propagandizing your audience with a bunch of fucking provable falsehoods and direct military propaganda. Sitting there misty, almost on the verge of tears over a fake story and a Ukrainian military recruitment ad. You went a little off the fucking deep end. And this whole drama that you facilitated at every point, that you could have just moved on from at any point, has been really helpful in helping you stutter step out of that and not have to take accountability for any of the fucking warmongering that you've done. And before you ask, how is supporting Ukraine's right to defend itself warmongering, my dude? When you're not using your fucking voice to call for a détente. Because you can't. Because you know that you helped elect a chief diplomat that's incapable of not shitting his pants, literally, in front of people on the international stage, farting and shitting all over them. This is what I'm talking about, man. How is there nobody talking about an immediate diplomatic solution, a UN intervention with fucking Biden and Putin and Zelensky in the room, and we all fucking figure out what we got to do to end this? How is that not the best thing to advocate for? Why are you advocating for, it's based that we're dumping crates and crates of fucking assault rifles on Ukraine, my dude. Oh my God, it's amazing that there are average people walking around and taking pot shots at Russian soldiers, my guy. Why would you put your advocacy into that and not advocating for an immediate détente, an immediate diplomatic solution, an immediate major diplomatic intervention to stop this war? I'll tell you why, because you're a dangerously propagandized little mushhead. Just like most of the people that watch and jack their jaw to you. Because as much bullshit as you talk about being a revolutionary figure and having revolutionary political ideas, when the media jerks the choke chain, you're right back at it, aren't you? Nope, it's Biden. Yep. Nope, it's war. Yep. What's next? Good little doggy. He's only an anarchist when there's not a war on, or when war isn't the major topic, my guy. When war is on, I'm an anarcho-NATOist, my guy. Give me a fucking break, you joke. How's this dude not a LARP? How's this dude not collecting little disaffected teenagers that have radical political ideas and turning them into good little mush-headed Biden-voting liberals? I'll wait. Where's the anti-war left? Where's the pro-education left? Where's the mass nonviolent political movement left? It's being flushed down the ContraPoints toilet. ContraPoints blocked somebody. Let's stop the entire fucking world. And give me a break. That's why I don't consider myself adjacent to this shit. That's why I don't participate very much other than observing the output of it. It's garbage. Yep. Operation, you start even earlier, Operation Desert Storm. Oh boy, man. I accidentally did a propaganda, my guy. Ultimately, even though I was dangerously propagandized, I was ultimately correct, my dude. Bobble, 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 bobble. Taru. That beanie looks comfortable, my dude. It is, my guy. When's Vosh gonna enlist? Day after never. My mother knitted me a beanie like that when I was a child. Nice beanie, man. Yeah, this is actually a hand knitted beanie that Amelia's grandma made for me for Christmas, and it's the most comfortable thing I've ever. I think it's the only hand knitted beanie that I've ever had. And I'm pretty sure it's the only hand knitted anything I've ever had. It's good. I feel kind of bad though because I have a big giant Irish melon and I have a lot of hair, which is poofy. And so she actually made two of these, one for me and one for Amelia. And I just they look exactly the same. And so I got them mixed up. And now both of them are stretched out to shit because they've been squeezed over my melon. So I've accidentally ruined Amelia's. It's like putting like a doily on her head. So I've appropriated hers. Hey, Mr. Naughty Praise, thank you, my friend, as always. You're a cool cat. You're a cool cat, my guy. War, what is it good for? It's good for political indoctrination. Good for making money. Good for establishing empire. Good for stoking the fires of nationalism. It's good for a lot of things. It's a waste. Generals gather in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Did this war happen because Ukraine didn't declare themselves as a neutral country? I think that this war happened because there was an utter and complete lack of diplomacy, lack of any kind of serious international diplomacy on the issue. And that led to that failure. If that was part of the failure that led to this, then yeah, I think it probably played a role. I mean, if you listen to what the demands that Putin has made, he's demanded that like parts of the Ukraine be allowed to be ceded or whatever the fuck to Russia, and that the Ukraine commit to not joining NATO or whatever the fuck. I think that the diplomatic failure at the heart of the crisis in Ukraine is magnified when you look at that being part of the problem. The fact that diplomacy never went beyond that. There was never any real effort to get the leaders of these countries in the same room together and hash this out and make any kind of fucking try to make any kind of, diplomatic non-war solution to this. Utterly failed. In fact, you can't even say it failed. It was never really tried, was it? How would diplomacy lead to more weapon sales? Good point. Good question, man. We gotta. How are we gonna make a bunch of money selling a bunch of weapons, but also have a diplomatic and non-war solution to international problems? I don't know. That's a good question. Taxes weren't enough to fund the military-industrial complex. Yeah. Well, why stop at taxes when you can impose your own tax and charge whatever you want anytime you want? Western leaders pushed for there's this like standing we're not going to negotiate with Russia kind of thing that goes on when Russia is doing this. When is the last time when Russia was invading Crimea? Was there like a meeting that happened? I think maybe there was. Did Obama go and meet with Putin during that? Why can't we do that? I know that Obama met with Putin at one point. I don't know if it was during the Crimean crisis or whatever. Isn't that what like a chief diplomat is for? Right? But isn't he the last chief diplomat that we could even think about sending? Not embarrassing on the face of him. You know what I mean? Kind of embarrassing in totality, but not embarrassing. Smart enough to carry on a conversation without crapping his pants. Young enough to stay awake during a meeting. You know? Wasn't he the last president we had that fit that bill? Like, how many more videos of Biden nodding off during fucking UN conferences do you need to know that your chief diplomat is asleep at the wheel? And then it starts to look real yucky because you pushed for him. You helped to elect it. And that creates a moral conundrum, so you don't want to talk about that. So you really just got to go with it. I don't know how people can say that war was completely and utterly inevitable when there was never a move to get Joe Biden, Zelensky, and Putin in the same fucking room with their aides and hash this shit out. Ever. Yeah, we're like pulling up real fast to the midterms, and look at what everybody's paying attention to. And then what's going to happen at the midterms? All of these anarcho libs, which is really what those kids are going to be lamenting the losses of the Democrats' take. They're going to be lamenting the fucking momentum shift, the pendulum swinging back to the right. And they're going to be looking down the barrel of what was actually accomplished and whining about it. And the cycle begins anew. Then, instead of any kind of substantive reform like I've talked about over the course of this, we'll be talking about how do we get these libs elected because they're the lesser of two evils. It'll be like, oh man, we got to fight these Republicans, man. We got to do anything. Look, there's a time and a place for reform. We got to get our people in there first. We got to get rid of these Republicans first. Then we can bully them. We can bully them into going further left. We can push them left, man. But we just got to focus right now. We can't have these petty discussions like, look, yes, Biden's a lib, but we got to get him reelected, man. Lesser of two, man. Yeah, still evil, but like just a slightly less dark shade of evil, man. And that's the best we can do right now. Once we've done that, man, then we can focus on the true revolutionary action of materially supporting every media narrative that comes out of the fucking left wing. Oh my God. What a tragic fucking web we weave when first we practice to deceive. The most important election in history. We still have time to bully Biden. That was never a thing, my guy. That was just a meme, my dude. Excuse me. The most important election of our lives. That was circa 2016. Yeah. And circa 2014 and circa 2012 and circa 2008. The list goes on, man. Did you guys not see the compilation that I played at the beginning of our election coverage during the last cycle? It started with like black and white TV. Let's put it that way. The most important election of our lifetimes. The most important American election. The most important. Yeah. Bye, kid. Macron, Schultz, etc. tried diplomacy. Putin simply was determined, just saying, I'm not particularly focused on Biden. I'm not American. Right, I am. And you probably ought to be focused on Biden because, geopolitically speaking, America's the big swinging dick right now. It may not be so for very long. It may be very much under threat, and that's really what this is about. But you kind of ought to pay attention because so as goes America, so goes the world. You know. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Oh, that's a nice breeze. See what I said about the rain? Look at that. It's looking less like it's going to rain every second. Anyway, I think I'm done. I think I'm going to wrap this up. Have a good one. See you guys next time.